And we got the baseball team, had a doubleheader last weekend.
And we're also going to have some cheer season going on this weekend.
And coming up on CU Sports Mag. Bump it up just a little bit. Welcome to CU Sports Mag. I'm David LaRose, sitting alongside Stacy Sams. And Stacy, we've got a lot of CU sports in the show.
Yeah, this week we've actually got cheers coming up this weekend, and as well we also have a little bit of our football that's coming up for the spring game starting this Saturday.
That's right. It's time for Ralphie to run around Folsom Field at the annual spring football game this Saturday. Alumni football players will participate in a flag football scrimmage at 4:30. Two of Colorado's most polarizing football coaches, Bill McCartney and Gary Barnett, will represent both teams. Head coach John Embry will step on the sidelines for the first time with the CU Buffs when the game kicks off at 6. Quarterback Tyler Hansen hopes to impress the crowd as he makes his much-anticipated return to the field since the removal of his spleen. This event is open for the general public as tickets are free, and after the game, the team will be signing autographs for all their biggest fans to celebrate the beginning of the 2011 season.
Former CU football player Nate Solder will be joining the likes of Byron White, Rashawn Salam, and Alfred Williams. Solder will be honored at halftime during Saturday's annual spring game as the latest CU athlete to have his name and number displayed on the facade of the west side of Folsom Field press box. Solder earned the honor after being named the Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year and to the All Big 12 first time last season. The Buena Vista, Colorado native is the 41st student athlete to pick up the accolade and the first since Mason Crosby since 2007.
Colorado's quarterback spot has not been without controversy this past few years, as Tyler Hansen and Cody Hawkins took turns as the number one signal caller. This year, Hansen is the current number one and the favorite to start, but Coach Embry has said multiple times that no veteran spot is safe.
Spring's different, for me this year, just because it's my last spring. I'm a senior now. It's my team pretty much. I got to lead this team. It's my last go at it. I got to make it special. So if I want to do something with it, I got to take it somewhere. So, and then with the new coaching staff, it's all new for everyone. So we all got to work through it together. We're all going through the same, difficulties learning the offense, difficulties dealing with everything. So we got to, lean on each other and get through, with each other. So it's all new but it's a good new, and we look forward to the challenge. We're going to a pro style, West Coast, and the quarterbacks, they're asking a lot of the quarterback to, re-ID some guys and change protections and get the ball to your hands. And so you really got to be professional, and you got to study, and you got to put the time in and really, really take off with this playbook, and spend some hours at home at nighttime and study. And I'm trying to convey that to guys, and it's been getting through. I think this last scrimmage we performed well enough, and then today we gotta do it again. So for me, I'm just trying to be more of a leader and just be more vocal. As a senior, I gotta really take the reins of this thing and go with it. And so that's my biggest goal right now. And the other goal is just to play within the pocket more. There's too many times on tape the last couple of years I've just gotten out of the pocket and bailed and utilized my legs, where I got to utilize my legs in the pocket and make throws downfield. So that's my biggest goal. I'm working on it. In the spring, I think I've done a fairly good job. More vocal. So far, as a senior, I got to really take the reins of this.
Coming up after the break, we'll see how the club's baseball season is going.
And then we will also sit down with Coach Tad Boyle of the men's basketball team to look back at his first season at CU.
Guten Tag!
Johannes Brahms!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
No, what'd she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone.
Mom, I'm on the phone!
Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom?
Oh, you're on the phone. All right.
Sorry!
Sorry.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Jeremy Bloom, former CU student, football player, Olympian, and world champion. But most importantly, I'm a forever Buff, which means I'm part of 240,000 students and alums created by the CU Boulder Alumni Association. The University of Colorado will always be something I'm very proud to be a part of. The years that I spent going to school and playing football provided me with some of the best memories of my life. So come join me in creating lifelong CU relationships and explore the Forever Buff program.
Don't be mean. Clean your machine.
Head men's basketball coach Tad Boyle led the Buffs to a record-setting season. I sat down with him earlier in the week, and among the things we discussed was how the team performed in his first season at the helm.
Well, I think we performed well, and as a coach, you always look the nature of coaching is you always look at the ones that got away,
right.
the losses, and those stick with you more than you appreciate the wins. But I think as you look at this season in its entirety, and where our program came from, and the amount of improvement we showed from November all the way through late March, it was a great year. It was a great year for our players. We had 5 seniors who showed great leadership and had production from a lot of different guys. So it was a great year for Colorado basketball. Again, the most wins in school history in 105 years.
Right.
It's something that these guys can be very proud of.
Losing 5 seniors, 2 starters, and a 6th man of the year, what are you going to miss most about those guys?
Well, I think we're going to miss just their experience. You look at guys like Corey and Levi who have been here for 4 years and who've kind of been through the war, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then you look at a guy like Marcus and the toughness he brought us, played above and beyond his physical stature on many nights and was battling guys bigger and stronger than him night in and night out. And you look at guys like Trent and Javon who gave us great leadership, great stability. We're going to miss this senior class in a lot of different ways. And they left their mark in this program, and they've set a standard for now future teams to adhere themselves to.
Mm-hmm. Alec Burks has said that he's going to make a decision on April 20th on whether or not he's going to go to the NBA or come back for his junior season. Have you said anything or heard anything from him about where he's leaning or which way he's leaning?
Alec and I have sat down a couple of times since the season has been over, and got a chance to visit. And again, I think Alec is really weighing all his options. He sees the pros, he sees the cons to staying or going, and it's something he's going to talk about with his family. And I told Alec, we're going to support you in whatever you decide to do, and he's got to make the decision that's best for him.
Do you guys have any targets or goals out on the recruiting trail before you start next season? Do you looking to fill any roles or?
Well, with Alec's situation in flux, we've still got some oars in the water there. We'll probably sign 1 more player here in the spring, at least, and maybe 2. We'll see. And then right now, our main focus is to kind of get a handle on the junior class, the class of 2012, and as we prepare for this July to go out on the road and kind of get our ducks in a row there. So recruiting is one of those things that never ends.
Right.
You get done with one class, you start on the next class. You're looking at underclassmen, and you're just trying to turn over every rock.
Thanks to Coach Boyle for sitting down with us. Andy, you heard him talk a little bit about the season and the Burke situation. Give us a little bit more insight.
It's a week after the season ended, and we can all just take a breath, kind of, and just look back on the season, and it was a success for Tad Boyle in his first year. They didn't get in the NCAA tournament, but they did go to the NIT, and they made some damage in there. You forget that they beat Texas, they beat Kansas State 3 times, they beat Mizzou, which was really big, and I'll talk about the players in a little bit, but first I want to give credit where credit's due. Tad Boyle, he came in, he made the transition smooth for the players, and that was a big part. His system worked well with the players, and they produced on the floor. Let's go back to Alec now. Alec, he's a player, and I don't think CU fans want to hear this, but I personally think he's coming out to the NBA draft. I don't think it would be a smart decision if he didn't come out and he was a 15 or under lottery pick, but I think he is. He is raw, he has talent, and he's turned a lot of heads, including scouts' heads this year, and his game will definitely translate to the next level. Alec can shoot the ball, he can get to the rim at will. That will translate easily to the NBA game, and going out and making millions of dollars being a top 15 draft pick, you can't say no to that. So once April 20th comes, sorry for CU fans, but that's going to be a sad day. And losing 4 seniors, they're going to lose all their scoring, which is going to be hard to come back. Yet, I still think Tad Boyle's going to make a damage next year, and I look forward to it.
All right, thank you, Andy.
After going 4-2 in Florida tournament over spring break, the CU club baseball team returned to conference play. The Buffaloes took on the UNC Bears at their home field in Johnston last weekend. UNC took advantage of early errors and windy conditions to get a 3-run jump off on the Buffs. CU would later find their offensive mojo in the 4th inning, supplied by 2 triples from William Stepnaski and Tony Pia. Two score 4 runs. Colorado's Ryan Graff would also make a statement in the 6th drilling as 3-run homer to center field. But the Bears would have the final say, racking up 5 runs in the final inning to secure 18-10 wins over the Buffs. CU will next take on conference rival CSU in Fort Collins on Saturday.
Colorado's club baseball team is midway through their spring season with a date against the Colorado State Rams looming at large on the schedule. CU Sports Mag's Andy McDonald has more.
The baseball team is a club doesn't stop them from playing like a varsity squad.
So we are the baseball representatives for the university.
Being a Buff on the diamond is important.
They want to play in a program that's structured, that means something, where there's going to be dedication by the other athletes, and that's going to give them an opportunity to play baseball at a high level.
Stiff competition keeps CU sharp and provides the opportunity for improvement.
So I think it makes us better. You always want to play games that mean. You want to play meaningful games, and you want to play games against teams that are competitive.
Although the ballpark they play at is nearly 40 miles from the CU campus, there is still passion for Buffs baseball and hopes that one day they will return to Boulder as a varsity team.
I believe that there's a master plan in place. When that plan gets put into play, it's hard to say.
For CU Sports Mag, I'm Andy McDonald.
There is much debate on whether Alec Burks is going to leave for the NBA draft. And that brings us to this week's trivia question. When was the last year a player from Colorado went in the first round of the NBA draft? We will have the answer later on in the show.
Coming up after the break, Andrew Tomasini and Luke Rosemeyer preview CU's football spring game on the double team set.
And Andy McDonald looks at Colorado's cheerleaders before they leave for nationals. Stick around for more Sports Mag.
About to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh, it's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it. You know trouble can start when the clock hits 3.
When there's no place after school for kids to be.
Nothing to do but hanging on city streets.
When mom and dad are working to make ends meet. Now it's time to beat the street.
With after-school programs, city kids aren't left alone and vulnerable. They keep on learning between 3 and 6, but these programs need your support. Join with the Urban League to keep them going. Call now, because it's
time to beat the street.
Last night, man. Yeah, no. Wait, I can't really. You're breaking up. Lost service. Yeah, no, and then he shoved me, and I was like, that's not cool. And so I just rocked him, and it was tight.
It was a total dime piece, man. Took him back to my place, had a few drinks. You know what I mean.
And after all of that,
She told me she had a kid, and I'm not trying to be any part of that right there. You know what I mean?
It was a crazy.
Alongside Luke Rosenmeyer, I'm Andrew Tomasini. Going to talk a little spring football. The spring football game is Saturday at 6 p.m. First time underneath the lights at Folsom Field. Lots of excitement, tons of anticipation for the 2011 season, and head coach John Embry is at the helm now, taking over for Dan Hawkins. Luke, we're going to talk a little bit about what the team has done so far in terms of spring practice. Let's talk about the running back position first and new head coach Eric Bieniemy.
You mean offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Anyway, he's also the running backs coach. When you talk about the running backs position, you're really talking about Rodney Stewart. He's been there. This is his 4th year. He's a senior. He's really going to be a leader. And he, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns last year. He really got it done for this team. And you know what? Embry has come out and said, Coach Embry has come out and said, you know, we want to establish this physical mentality in the running game. We really need to make that transition to the pro-style offense. And he's called out the offensive line and the running backs and said, hey, look, we need to be more physical in the running game. And you know what? New offensive line coach Steve Marshall, he's going to have a lot to do with that. I think this offensive line group, despite the loss of Nate Solder, is going to be really motivated. They're going to be pushing people out of the way. And Rodney, in his senior year, is just going to be all over the place, making people miss scoring touchdowns. And then also got a little depth. Brian Lockridge, he's got experience. He's been out for most of spring ball, and so we've got some newcomers. Specifically, Tony Jones has really been opening some eyes with his quickness, ability to make people miss. So I think the running back spots really got a lot going for it this year.
Well, I'm glad you corrected me there. I know both Eric Bieniemy and John Embry were head coaching candidates. Obviously, John Embry got the job. But moving further down the line here, we're going to talk a little bit about the quarterback position now. And Tyler Hansen had a decent season last year. Cody took over for him after an injury-plagued end of the season. What do you see in terms of the depth back there? Is essentially Tyler going to get the spot? Is it going to be Nick Hirschman? I know we've heard a lot about Tyler performing well so far. What have you seen?
You spoke about Tyler performing well. In their first scrimmage of spring ball, he went 18 for 19 passing with 3 touchdowns. You know, it's kind of a catch-22 in those situations. You don't know how the defense is. They're playing against themselves. But you know what? It's a lot like the running back spot. You talk about Rodney Stewart there. It's really just Tyler Hansen at the quarterback spot. You know, I think he's really got a firm grip on that number 1 position. And I don't think Coach Embry is going to come out and say it because he wants to keep up this image of open competition for every spot. But as far as I'm concerned, Tyler Hansen has got it locked up, and it's really up to him this year. He's a senior. You know, he doesn't have to deal with this Cody Hawkins, Dan Hawkins drama anymore. That's been a huge shadow over his head the last couple of years. I think it's really his time to shine. He really just needs to go out there, be a leader, you know, make the calls at the line, make the right reads, get the ball out of his hand, and he'll be a solid starting quarterback for us.
Now, we talked about the quarterbacks and we talked about the running back. Now let's get on the other side of the ball and talk about the defense. Brian Cabral is going to be back with the Buffs this season. I'm glad he's going to be back. He's a huge part of the defense for the Buffs. What have you seen in terms of people that have been progressing, people that essentially may or may not make the team? We've heard a lot, specifically today, about people that might get cut in terms of the 85-man roster. Who have you seen on the defensive side of the ball that's really impressed you?
I think a really big standout has been Conrad Obi on the defensive line. You know, he's bulked up, he's put on a lot of weight, and he's made it clear to all his teammates that he's looking to make some noise this year. Also, the linebacking group, we've got John Major. He's been missing time due to injuries lately, but he is a real playmaker, a real athlete. And then also, Travis Sandersfeld has really been picking up his game. I think he's going to see a lot of time at the safety spot. Anthony Perkins, starting safety last year, has been hurt a lot. So that's more guys getting time. So I honestly think the defense, you know, is in good shape heading into this season.
Well, new coaching staff, new conference. Hopefully the Buffs can improve in the 2011 season. For Luke Rosemeyer, I'm Andrew Tomasini. Back to the desk.
Like the base of a proper stunt, the CU cheerleaders support all the Buffs in competition. Now it's their turn to step into the limelight as they head to cheerleading nationals in Florida. Andy McDonald has more.
The CU cheerleaders are often forgotten about.
I think the majority of people don't really understand that we also have this whole other aspect of cheerleading, which is the competitive aspect. And so it's hard.
But it's their turn to take center stage at nationals.
I mean, in college nationals, it's, the best of the best. And
The team has been preparing for this moment for what seems like their whole lives.
that I've been doing cheerleading since I was 11 years old, and I get just as nervous every single time.
And all the hard work is worth it.
The benefits definitely outweigh the sacrifices. There's definitely a balance, but I think there's definitely more positives. It's such a great atmosphere, being a part of such a great program, being on a team with great people and great coaches.
They'll use a great send-off performance to springboard into competition in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Coming off of a routine that we just hit perfectly, it really boosted our confidence, and we're excited. Now we can just go out and have fun because we know we can hit the routine.
And tonight I really think we proved ourselves to ourselves and the people watching, so I think we're so ready and so confident.
For CU Sports Mag, I'm Andy McDonald.
Women's golf took to the course for the final time, competing in the inaugural Pacific Coast Intercollegiate Tournament at Half Moon Bay. The Buffs finished tied for 5th behind the play of junior Jess Wallace and freshman Kristen Coleman, who both shot a 2-over-74. Junior Emily Talley struggled in her final round, shooting a 6-over-78, 13th overall. The result gave the Buffs a top 5 finish in all events this season, recording their second-best finish in school history. CU will head to their final Big 12 championship in Columbia, Missouri after this month. Colorado junior Sebastian Heisel shot 3 strokes over par, coming in with a 73 this past Tuesday to tie for 12th in the 9th annual Wyoming Cowboy Classic. Luke Simons was not far behind, putting up a final score of 273, sitting at 23rd overall on the leaderboard. The Buffaloes also had a team score of 14 over par to finish tied for 5th place behind Baylor, Arizona, UC Davis, and CSU. The Western Collegiate Tournament in Santa Cruz, California is the next showdown for the Buffs.
The CU women's soccer team finished their spring season with 4 wins, 3 ties, and 4 losses after traveling to Regis University. Annie Stoller scored CU's lone goal of the first game in a 1-1 draw against Fort Lewis College. Kate Russell and Amy Barkzuk each scored 1 goal in their second match and shut out Wyoming, giving CU its only win of the day. In the final match, the Buffs were unable to score against the Regis Rangers, ending the game in a 0-0 tie. Head coach Bill Hempton says it was definitely worthwhile for us to play all of the spring games.
We're not done yet. After the break, we'll reveal the answer to this week's trivia question.
And Shannon Lee will give us the weekend weather and outlook on Ski Report.
Drug enforcement agents. Last year, she helped convict 90 drug dealers, seized several tons of crack and marijuana, and closed down 10 major drug operations. She is a 68-year-old grandmother named Irma. She set up a community drug watch that is not only changing her neighborhood, but its future. There are many ways to help in your community. Call the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
Lewis and Clark, great explorers. Wait. Hi, I'm Thomas Jefferson. Would you check out the West for me? Oh, sure. And they take their keelboat up the Missouri. Oh, Buffalo. Then they built Fort Mandan. They're at 1804. Made some friends along the way. I'm Secretary Ware. Through the Columbia Gorge.
There are tons of ways to help with your kids' learning. Find the really good ones on connectforkids.org.
The sweet Pacific Ocean. Yeah!
Let's sit down for a second, okay, sweetie?
Hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Kayla. Come and play.
Oh, sweetie. go play with those kids over there.
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
The Buffs are moving west and staying put. This is the final year in the Big 12 Conference for CU as they are changing to the next Pac-12 of next year. Andy McDonald caught up with the students to see if they knew what was ahead for the Buffs.
Pack your bags because CU is moving to the new Pac-12 next year. New conference, new competition. I'm here on the Hill gauging how much students already know about their new league.
Pacific.
Pacific.
Pacific Athletic Conference. Washington, Utah, UNLV. ASU, U of A, UCLA, right? Oregon.
USC, Cal, Arizona, Arizona State.
ASU, U of A, Washington, CU now. They put Utah in, right? Did they? All right. Stanford, USC, UCLA, Oregon State, Washington State, are they?
We'll be decent at basketball. We're not going to be good at football for a while.
Either basketball or football.
I'd like to think basketball, since we did so good this year. I'd like to think we'll keep going with that. So.
The Buffs have faced the same team since they joined the Big 8 Conference in 1947 and the further expansion to the Big 12 Conference in 1997. With the new change of conferences to the Pac-12, CU students are more than excited about seeing new faces here in Boulder. For CU Sports Mag, I'm Andy McDonald.
The CU women's tennis team has lost 9 straight competitions, including all 5 in the Big 12. It ties their worst losing streak ever, set back in 1978. The Buffs lost to Oklahoma State Cowboys in Boulder 7-1 on April 1st. The women's tandem of Abby Prober and Carla Manzi-Tenorio won the Buffs' only doubles match 8-4. Christina Schlick had the Buffs' lone single win as she won her team-high 16th match of the year 6-4, 6-3. The Buffs have 2 upcoming matches this weekend in Kansas as they take on Kansas State on Friday and the Kansas Jayhawks on Sunday.
University of Colorado combined events athletes competed in the men's decathlon and the women's heptathlon at the Jim Click combined events meeting at Roy D. Drachman Stadium. CU junior Alex Von Hagen completed a personal record and finished 6th overall in the men's basketball team, or men's decathlon. Von Hagen added a first-place finish in the 1,500-meter run with a time under 5 minutes. Eddie Taylor and Brock Emery placed 12th and 13th with personal records in various events. The Buffs will next complete at the CU Invitation at Pottsfield.
I bet you are on pins and needles waiting to find out the answer to this week's trivia question. Before I give you the answer, here's the question one more time. When was the last year a player from Colorado went in the first round of the NBA draft? And the answer is 2004 when David Harrison was selected by the Indiana Pacers. And now we're going to go over to the ski report set where Shannon Lee has the report.
Shannon Lee with this weekend's ski report. If you're thinking about headed up to ski this weekend, be careful for some potential heavy traffic as skiers and snowboarders did not make it up this past week due to road closures. CDOT closed the roads as a safety precaution to avoid falling boulders on the road. If you want to avoid that traffic, head up to Eldora. A pretty warm weekend, high of 55 on Friday, Saturday also warm. However, a cold front might head in on Sunday with some snow showers. If you are willing to brave the traffic, head up to Winter Park. Warm Friday, warm Saturday. Again, a little bit chillier on Sunday as that snow front comes in. Finally, Keystone Resort, again, warm on Friday. Possibility for snow showers on Saturday and snow on Sunday. Beware that spring is in the air, so there may be some lift closures and some slushy snow, but this may be your last weekend to get in some ski and snowboarding. Have safe travels. I'm Shannon Lee. Back to the desk.
For watching CU Sports Mag.
And we will see you next week.